Hey out there, it's Wakeangel2K1 again. I frequent 4chan's toy board quite often. It's how I find out about certain toy news, like what figures are coming out, how new figures look, or occasionally someone will point out that there's a sale. Earlier in December, there was sale on, I believe it was Playmo or something, that had a certain model kit that I had been wanting for a long time. It's the RAcaseal Elanor. I think that's how you pronounce it. That maid-looking robot from Phantasy Star Online. If you're expecting me to know a lot about Phantasy Star Online, you're gonna be kind of disappointed. I played Phantasy Star Online once on the Dreamcast when I was back in high school at a friend's house for about an hour. And nothing that looked like this was in it. And that in the time that I played. But, this is a really cute looking robot. It's a cool model kit. I always wanted it, but the problem is that it was always like 35 bucks. But because of a sale on that website, she was only about 16. And even with the SAL shipping included, it only came out to about 20 bucks. And that's about the same price I spent on that Sarah Palmer sprue kit. So, it's about the same size as the Sarah Palmer sprue kit, so there we go. It's what I want. Of course, this is a little bit different from Sarah Palmer, where that was a snap type kit with a couple of stickers. This one has a little bit more work to it. The box actually isn't taped closed, so let's reposition the camera to look down inside the box so we can get a look at what's in there. Well, here we go. We got the instruction booklet up first. Apparently it's called RAcaseal Elanor version Apsy, because it was sculpted by a guy named Masaki Apsy. It's fine. Like, again, don't really know much about the dude. Nice little drawing of the character. She's very nice. Kind of has like a humanoid Amy Rose vibe. Well, not humanoid because she's a robot. Like, if Amy Rose was made into a human and then into a robot, this is what she'd look like. Maybe that's what attracted me to this model kit before. Yeah, so in here are some basic instructions. They show you what to expect to find on the sprues, and along with instructions on what you'll need. Everything's in Japanese, so I can't read it. As you can see, some of the parts are going to require a bit of glue, and other parts are going to need a little bit of painting. There's also visual instructions on how to use the water slide decals. And after that, it's all just, assembly instructions. And it's all in black and white until you get to the very last page. So, yeah, check out the details of the weapons here. You got like a black gun. You got this blue crossbow gun thing that says test on it in that weird font. Got a couple of Gundam-esque blades. And you see the figure itself, it has all these details. Well, here's the sprue kit itself. It has very minimal painting. Like, I think these eyes on... I think this is going to be yeah, those are the eyes, definitely. They go inside the head. Look kind of creepy on their own. This actually already looks almost like a robot. Yeah, this is very similar to what I saw with Sarah Palmer. Like these dark black pieces are made out of a slightly softer plastic. They're going to be joints. Joint pieces are made out of a different plastic tolerance because things have to move. There's two shades of pink, a dark pink and a much lighter pink for other parts. So, that's cool. And then most of the other pieces are white. And here, you see that weapon. Yeah. The weapon's completely white. And as you can see, it doesn't have the word test on it anywhere. They expect you to be able to paint the word test on. And no, that's not a water slide decal, because here are the water slide decals. They're... I'm sure if you play Phantasy Star Online, you'll know what these symbols mean. To me, they don't mean anything. I'm probably going to put number 1 on because it's the blue one. Although they did give us some very nice translucent green swords. You just have to paint the hilts white. So that's something. At least they gave us the effects parts. I mean, this could have been 2 pieces. Like, this could have been something that I insert into this piece, and this could have been molded out of the white plastic. But whatever. So there is going to be a little bit of minor paint, at least for detail work required. And there are some, not all, but some of the parts do need glue. So there's pictures in the back cover that show what the kit's supposed to look like once it's properly painted. It's supposed to be a very flexible and articulated action figure. It looks more articulated than Sarah Palmer. Gonna have to compare them afterwards. Okay, so I guess the next step is to actually do a little bit of building. Alright, so let's begin 18 minutes of sped up building footage. This is sped up by a factor of 4. It was originally a little over an hour. By the way, this was just a few days after New Year's. I was still coming off of some shifts at work. My circadian rhythm is still set for night shifts. And it was roughly, I'd say at least 2 in the morning by the time I finished this. I think I was building this thing and perfecting it until 4. So yeah, this was late at night that I'm doing this. Okay, so the first thing I'm making here is a shoulder. You can see that there's a ball joint being attached to the physical part of the shoulder with a bit of a hinge. And then I cut the camera for a sec so I could build the other shoulder off screen. And I still caught a lot of dead space. Should have edited that a little bit more carefully. So let's talk about the sprues themselves. As you can see, I'm going at each individual piece with an X-Acto knife after I remove it from the sprue. That is because the plastic of the sprues was actually quite thick. In fact, in some cases it was so thick that I had a difficult time getting it off. This is good in that the pieces aren't going to accidentally break, and the plastic is actually rather sturdy. Compared to the plastic that the Sarah Palmer sprue kit was made out of, this model kit was significantly stronger feeling. The plastic is simply denser. Of course, that leaves some flashing behind, but you know, if you have an X-Acto knife, you have a way to get rid of flashing. You just got to be careful not to accidentally cut into the plastic itself, because then you'll have a permanent scar. You can't really cover over those things with paint too, because if you look closely enough, you'll always see them. You'll always see them. Alright, so what we're looking at now is the forearms, and you're seeing the kit's use of different color plastics here. It's a kit that recommends painting and stuff to get it to look like the box art, but to its credit, they do their best to try and make something look decent even if you don't have any paint on hand. And quite frankly, I wonder how the heck they expect us to paint it to look like that box art, because have you seen the box art? She has like, I mean, I know there's probably a trick to doing panel linings that I can look up, but you know, there's just parts of her that have like lettering painted in and stuff. You know, it just doesn't look all that simple. As you can see here, these are 2 right hands. This is for part of a hand swapping gimmick. And here, jump cut to see both of her arms completed with the whole complements of hands, which includes fists, blade hand, palm open hands, and holding things hands. So let's move on to other appendages. Can you tell what that is? It's the knee. It's the double jointed knee. So here I am cutting bits and bits and bits. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much me. If I could have set this to music or something without fear of copyright notices, I would have done that, but, you know, it's just 18 minutes of me working on a model kit. I mean, it's probably a lot more interesting than 2 hours of me working on a model kit, but, you know, still. These parts are also pretty small, you can probably tell. This is definitely something that requires a dexterous hand. Um, I actually perfectly suited for this kind of thing, because I have, like, small, girly hands, and then they're also very steady, because I'm so used to, you know, sculpting and painting little things, so I'm just well suited for this kind of thing. What I'm making here is going to be her thigh. You see a ball joint that will form her hip, and a ball joint beneath that, which will be a thigh swivel. I wonder why they chose to use a ball joint for the thigh swivel when a mushroom cap would have been just fine. In fact, the mushroom cap might have been better because with a ball joint in her thigh, it makes her thigh a little bit wiggly, and it doesn't feel natural. Because a human leg isn't supposed to bend there, you know? Um, these are parts of the lower thigh, you know, everything between the upper thigh and the knee. Um, by the way, those white things I put on the ends, those are kneecaps. Oh, you can see it attached there. Oh, and this was where I made a mistake. I had made the mistake of sealing up that lower thigh before I put the upper thigh into it. So I actually had to pry the pieces apart with the X-Acto knife, because these things do not want to be separated from each other once you put them together very carefully so as not to snap the structural pegs and then put them back together with the thigh in place. Oh man, that was harrowing, and I swore to myself that I wouldn't make that mistake again, because that was one of the most terrifying things in this entire project. Alright, so what am I working on now? What are those? Okay. Now I'm making the feet. Yeah. I actually have the completed kit right here on my desk so I can look at her for context. And sometimes it can be pretty hard to tell what I'm looking at. It's really cool. Like when you build a model or make a puzzle, even if you've seen the picture on the front of the box, it can often be fascinating while you're assembling or putting it together to find out exactly what's going on there. So yeah, that thing I just took off is going to be her heel spur. This figure has heel spurs to compensate for the fact that she's supposed to look like she's standing in high heels, but that would probably have made her back heavy. And when you have a figure that's, you know, assembled from things that you could snap off of a sprue, they don't want it to be falling too often because it could risk damaging itself. You know, it's just not as durable as the harder plastics they would use in like a Figma or a Chogokin or something. Yeah, by the way, I have seen the RAcaseal Elanor Chogokins, and she looks awesome, but that is an expensive figure. Like I said, even this model kit would have been out of my price range except for that Christmas sale. So the only reason I have this version is because I was able to get her for $20. So if I could, so I'm probably never going to get the Chogokin, even though it is one of my minor grails. Okay, so here I'm showing off how the ankle works. She has an ankle rocker, and it goes forward and backward. And look at the range of her knee. It's a really good double-jointed knee range. Under this, I'm using a white fluorescent light for lighting here, and the HD camera is actually seeing things sharper than normal human vision would. So that flash in the front of the ankle is super obvious, but when I look at the actual toy, it's not even visible. So my camera is actually revealing details to the unaided eye that revealing details that the unaided eye wouldn't be able to pick out. That's what HD is there for. So that is a completed leg, and there's its companion piece leg. Going off the range of motion and moving on to the next piece. So we built arms, we built legs. That is her chest. Yep, that is the top of her chest. It would be the equivalent of where the collarbones are on a human. So I remember spending some time fumbling around with the instructions, figuring out what the chuffing hell I'm supposed to do with some of these pieces. I believe that little black thing is her neck peg. In principle, this figure has a really good neck construction. There's a there's like a swivel joint inside the body. Okay, you see here that there's this little pegs. This ball joint. Yeah, that's what it is. A ball joint is sticking up out of the neck, and then you put the tube of the neck on top of that, and it itself has a ball joint that goes into the head. So it's a double ball jointed neck. The problem is that the ball inside the head is really tight. So when you try to move it, you're going to end up moving the neck at the base when you don't want to. In addition to that, the inside of the neck is a smooth cylinder. It doesn't have anything that the ball will pop into. It's just kind of a cylinder friction onto a ball. So as you turn and tilt the neck, there's nothing to prevent the head from just coming off on this joint. It is the one flawed joint in this entire figure's construction. But I guess we'll get more into that when this construction video is over and I can review the figure itself. Okay, so we are about halfway through in timeline-wise, and I just attached her boob plate. Yeah, this is another one like first edition Prime RC. It's a figure that has articulated boobs, although not individually articulated. Although in this case, the articulation exists to serve the torso crunch. Like when she's leaning forward, you can move them up so that you can get more clearance, and when you arch her back backwards, you can move it back to cover the gap. So that's something to help with posability. Let's see. What am I working on now? I see dark pink pieces. What use dark pink pieces? Okay, I'm gonna have to keep watching the video for another minute for context. What is that? I am looking at the figure and I can't... Hold on, let me turn this around. What the... Oh! Okay. That goes onto the small of her back. Yes. I think that... Yeah, that has to be. Yeah. This... Okay, yeah. This is her ab crunch. Yeah, that was her ab crunch I just built. Okay. And that funny little arrow-shaped thingy, that is what her hips will attach to. See? I just plugged those two ball joints onto that little, the little sticks there, and it makes the hip joints. For the record, those two ball joints that are in there, they're one of the few pieces on this kit that's made out of a softer rubber. A softer rubbery type of plastic. Most of this figure uses the same kind of plastic, but some of the joints are made out of a slicker, softer plastic, which would allow them to smoothly articulate. One of the first kits I built, I believe it was that Hime brain-powered figure, all of its parts were the same plastic, including the ones used to make its joints. So the problem is that those pieces were extremely tight and frictiony, and whenever I tried to repose that thing, there were terrifying creaking noises, until one of the balls just completely snapped. I had to throw that figure away because it destroyed itself with its own plastic tolerances. Of course, that was a much older kit. This one, being a modern kit, has long since evolved beyond those plastic tolerance issues that older model kits have. I left her laying face down for quite a while. I'm like, oh yes, I was working on her back. Yeah, this you can see how I'm working on. You can actually see how the figure's articulation works as I construct it. The inner mechanics of her ball jointed upper torso, ball and inside there's a hinge to allow for ab crunch. Although it crunches farther backwards than forwards, so I'm guessing that they were thinking we like arched back poses more than hunched forward poses. I don't know. I'm sure it's perfectly innocent. I'm not gonna question the predilections of people that sculpted a robot maid wearing yeah. I mean, hey, if I'm gonna question them, they can question me. Ah, yes, now her head. Yes, this is one of the only parts in the figure that's painted. It's her eyes. And the face of the figure by itself looks like one of those creepy Harlequin masks. It's not something you want to look at outside of the regular context of the figure. Yeah, then we see a face with a couple of things on top. And it has some pegs. There you see the neck is in. And as you can see, if you look inside, it's just a cylinder. Like I said, there's nothing really gripping the second ball joint. That's why the neck is the only weak point of this figure's articulation. So that light pink piece is her hair. It's going to be most of her sideburns. It's amazing how big it is on top of her face. It looks like a giant football helmet. And again, like most people have big floofy hair, if they can, you know. And with her forehead in place, you get the... Yeah, it actually looks cute now. Now you just gotta put on that... What do you call that thing? It's like that little lacy frond that maids wear. Does that have a name? I think nurses wear something similar. I mean, it's probably like just supposed to keep their hair from the top of their head... The longer hair from the top of their head from going down over their forehead, across their bangs or whatever, but... I don't know, does it have a name? I mean, I wouldn't call it a tiara. Oh, I guess on her it could technically be called a tiara because it's metal. Well, you know, if she's a robot, it would be made out of metal. Yeah, that's a good one. I know next to nothing about maid attire. I know what a French maid costume looks like, but I would not be able to identify its individual parts to you. Then again, you know, I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy. I probably wouldn't be able to tell you anything beyond, that's a dress. Those are stockings. Yes, I am the fashion guy. Yeah, I hope my commentary track is interesting. I'm trying to be a little bit, you know. Okay, so the figure is almost complete and capable of standing on her own now, but she's not quite done yet. As you can see, she's just this skinny little girl. She has a skirt to put on. There's some side panels here, a couple more ball joints. This is going to plug into the small of her back and create the maid skirt that you see in the artwork. You see it's a simple ball joint sticking out of a panel, which will be stuck into her back later on. This is actually a part of the figure where they expect you to do quite a lot of painting, because it's all just pink here, but if you look at the box art, a lot of this skirt is actually white. I'm happy they made it out of the pink plastic instead of the white plastic. Ooh, these parts. These are the only parts in the figure that required glue. So they say you need glue to build this model kit, but quite frankly, except for maybe one of the holding things hands, which keeps popping in half until I glued it down, these are the only two pieces on the figure that specify a requirement for glue. And I can understand why, because the tabs that attach them are so tiny, their friction just wouldn't hold it very long. They keep falling out. So yeah, these two pieces are what justify the requires glue sign on the front of the box. Okay, so these are the sides of her skirts, which are going to cover her hips, and, you know, make her look a little bit less skinny. So, how does this attach? Oh yeah, right now I'm cutting the thing off the sprue. These were the hardest pieces to get off the sprue because they were attached at, like, 4 different places, and there was no logical way for me to, like, twist and wiggle them off. I think I actually had to go in there with my knife to cut them out. Alright, so yeah, you see the skirt is now officially complete. I'm probably just cutting off the last little pieces of sprue flash, and then ball jointed into the back. Yep, and now she has her dress. Okay, so why am I just focusing on a close-up of her upskirt here? Okay, there we go. Okay, no longer in 4x speed up. This is the completed model kit. Take a quick look at her, front and back, turned around, top to bottom, bottom to top. I'm going to do a proper review of her as a figure once this video is finished uploading. And I don't know why I was so scared to narrate all this. I mean, it's only 18 minutes. I can talk for 18 minutes. I'm me. you know, people call me a motor mouth all the time. I really think I can't talk for 18 minutes? Oh well. Alright, so yeah. This is the RAcaseal Elanor model kit figure. And she looks really nice. She's cute. Yeah, let's do the review video of her next time, okay? This is Wakeangel2K1 signing off.